National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
You're going to call anyone that loves you. You're going to ask them if you can use their card to buy concert tickets because your card's maxed out. Okay. If they say yes, you get the tickets.
I can't call my parents because they already think I make bad financial decisions. Well, so I think I'll call one of my friends.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous. I feel tingly.
What's your not answer?
Giovanna?
Yes?
I was on SeatGeek earlier and I saw 2 tickets for Olivia Rodrigo at a really, really, really good price. So
Oh my god.
I maxed my credit card out by accident last week. Do you think I could use yours to buy the tickets?
Oh my god, yes.
Did I what?
Yeah, you got the tickets. You got the tickets.
I just want tickets. We're going to go to the concert together. Giovanna, I'll call you later. I love you. Thanks for picking up. Oh my god. I'm going to see Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes, thank you, SeatGeek.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
How do you max your credit card out by accident? Nobody does that except some like 22-year-old. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Fellas, stuff that says college or pro football like drama. Whatever's inside that locker room, on the practice field, at the club or on the game field, this sports has something that focuses on your attention to anything but the game at times. You know what I'm saying? We try to reel you in and focus you on the whole picture and how things happen on this episode. Lots of things going on the field. It's time for the OGs to start their rise and give us the football we deserve, though. That's how I feel tonight. How about you guys? Introduce yourselves. It's a great night to talk sports, fellas.
But is it okay, Charles? I want to interfere.
Yeah, man, do you think?
It's just show. I'm just here, man. Hey, look, I don't even know why I'm here, man. It popped up on my phone. I'm supposed to be here, so I showed up here. I'm lost in the sauce, but I'll tell you what I'm not. I'm not buying Cleveland quite yet. I think the Yankees got something for them. I think the Yankees got something, and I think it's going to come tonight. It has to come tonight because I'll tell you, Big B is really the only guy. I'm never going to talk about more about this, but damn it, put it tonight. Okay.
I mean, it's definitely a great time to be a sports fan. Definitely. I mean, you got everything. Whoa. College, pro, hockey, you got MLB. It's basketball starting up. It's a great time to be a sports fan. Great time to be a sports fan.
You know what's in the buzz too, fellas? College basketball and pro basketball. I hear that in the buzz. I'm reading about it. I'm seeing some TikToks and some videos talking about some shit going on already. So it is a great time to be a sports fan. Hey, fellas, let me ask you a question real quick, off the beaten path. Favorite Disney movie?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, are you talking about if we're going, hold on, I know I'm looking right at him. Coach Boone and Sunshine.
Yeah.
I can't think of
Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Remember the Titans?
Okay.
Was Remember the Titans at Disney or were you talking cartoon?
Disney movies. I'm thinking like, is it Beauty and the Beast? Is this
okay.
Cinderella? You know,
so that's what I'm saying.
Here.
Are you talking Disney as in cartoon or any movie? Because
I'm talking any Disney movie. If you want to bring Remember the Titans along for the ride, you go ahead and do that, brother man.
Was that a Disney?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you go cartoon, if you're going cartoon, it was the Little Mermaid.
Nice.
If you're going cartoon,
she was a cutie, huh? Red hair.
Hell with you. Everybody, it's Nemo. Anybody give a damn about that? It's all about Nemo. Damn fish.
Yeah. Dory drive me crazy.
A fish comes back so much. He's got more than 9 lives. A cat, he's got like 10 lives.
Hey, listen, I'm going to go a little bit out of the box here on this, though. Myself, I'm going to go Pixar. I'm going to go Toy Story 1. Because Pixar's owned by Disney. I'm down with it. You know, they're making another freaking Toy Story in like 2026 or something. It's going to be released. I'm a little pumped up. It's in my calendar already.
Wow.
Yeah, even as an old ass man, I still like that stuff.
I don't know if I ever got into that like that. Yeah, am I old? I mean, I don't have no kids. Did you get into this kind of stuff with kids, and they got you into this kind of thing?
I don't have kids either. But see, because I never got it really into cartoons either. So I like all the Avengers, the Marvels, the DC. I never watched it. I've never seen any of those movies. I did see the original. I saw Spider-Man. I've never seen any of the Hulks. I've never seen any of the movies.
You've lived that life. You've lived that life. Hey, G. Richardson said it's the Lion King for him. All right, Glenn. I'm done. Mufasa, baby. Mufasa. Yeah. Hey, before we go any further, if you check out the comments, we got our link trees in there for ESEN, Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as the link tree in there for Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei and the Barbershop crew. Fellas, I'm also going to throw a little QR code in there for you later. If you're looking for some tickets, SeatGeek, there's a 20% discount on this code. It's also going to be out there for you on our web pages and everything. So just a little something for everybody out there trying to spread the love around. But let's get into talking some sports, fellas. I had it all laid out for us where we were going to go, but then all of a sudden I start teaching today and my phone goes off. Next thing I know, Davante Adams is with his lover up in New York with the Jets. He rejoins the old man who can't throw the ball anymore. Thoughts on that? Adams going to New York Jets.
I think I will tell you exactly what I think. It's going to put all the pressure on Rodgers, excuse me, because he literally got the coach fired. You know, he brought in Davante when the guy came up. If this guy doesn't produce at this point, you just got to say it's time to hang it up, guy. You got to hang it up. But I will say this from Davante, I'm glad I'm leaving hell and at least getting into purgatory.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's going to play 1 year with that dude. They're going to eat that whole contract. You know that, right? The Raiders didn't pick up anything. That's why they got it. That's why the Jets got him.
Yeah.
Because
the other team renegotiated. I didn't read what the terms were, but I thought they renegotiated. Now, again, I don't know what the terms were. But
I didn't see that.
They might have
pushed
it out a few more years.
I didn't see the terms either.
I didn't see that piece of it, but I'll tell you what. He's 32 years old. I get it. They got Garrett Wilson there, who's already having problems with Mr. Lava Man.
Davante at 32. I thought Davante was at 30. I was thinking he was right.
He's 32. Wow. He's 32. So that was a little shocking to me. Then later on in the day, the Bills finally strengthened up their receiving core with a great route runner in Amari Cooper.
I know Amari was 30. And I think he would be a big boost for those guys. You know, I mean,
now he played for your squad
on their end.
Back in the day, right? He played for your squad down there.
Yeah, he played for he played for our squad, and then I think was us, Cleveland. I forget where we got him from, but Cooper. It was Arizona. It might have been Arizona. I'm thinking. I'm not sure, but Amari's 30, so you know he's got.
Amari was with the Raiders.
I don't think he's probably not like what I'm saying. At 30,
he's a hell of a route runner though.
No,
he still had 1,000 yards over the last 2 or 3 seasons. He's still productive. It's funny though because when they got rid of Diggs, they made it sound like we're good. We love our receiving core. Allen is Superman. He doesn't need help. We're good. Now 5-6 weeks into it, 5-6 games. Let's revamp. Let's go get us a receiver. So, you know, I'm whatever they're doing in New York. I thought it was real. It was real dirty. It was dirty poker. How Rodgers blamed that on Williams yesterday. You underthrew him regardless of where you thought it was going. I rewatched that play numerous times. He said the guy throws his hand up and 3 guys go with him. It was 2 guys in the official. You did see 3, but you didn't differentiate the official between your opponents. And you just that's 3 weeks straight. They had the ball in their Superman's hand. They got Rodgers for this, and he hasn't delivered, fellas. He hasn't delivered. So you can go get Davante if you want, and that just shows, again, why I don't have an issue when they say these entitled athletes, because you keep doing this.
Of course, is entitled. The guy went and spent a damn like weeks or whatever in a damn dark room.
That's what. But that's
of course.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're letting him do this, you're creating this type of dude. He gets the coach fired. He hasn't come through for 3 weeks, and then you go get him more offensive help. Now, this is going to supposed to be what solves it. He's calling players out, throwing players under the bus.
Doc, welcome to corporate America, baby. It's
so
corporate America, baby.
I still hope they finish in the bottom of the division. I wish the Jets nothing but failure.
Yeah, I mean, after what he did, throwing Saleh under the bus like that, bullshit. As soon as I saw him push that guy, I mean, Saleh had to have done all he could not to fucking knock him out, because I personally would have just punched him right in the face. Of
course you would.
I have no respect for that dude.
But they demoted Hackett down, right? What is he now, like a wide receiver coach or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. Play calling away from him. So, and Hackett was supposed to be Rodgers' boy. So I don't know, man. I wish ill will on the Jets, and whatever they get, they deserve.
Rodgers has no boys. He has no friends.
Brett Favre went to the Jets. He went to the Jets. Everybody's going to the Jets. And then where did they wind up? In Minnesota. Minnesota! Yeah. That's right. You got Kirk Cousins. Never mind.
Yep. Okay, fellas. Rafael Nadal. Nadal won a record 14 career French Open championships. Was the first player to win 22 Grand Slam men's single titles. Retired. Yeah. Where does he rank among the greatest in the sport?
Man, regardless of who you're going, you can't put him. You cannot put him any lower than 4. And I'd say 3. But I would say you can't put him any lower than 4. It can't be. And that's pushing it. Like, I'd say top 3. I'd say top 3 of all time. Gotta be.
That's where I was with it too.
Yeah, I had mine as obviously Serena Williams. I had it 1. I think Nadal. Excuse me, not Nadal. I put Nadal right after Pete Sampras. I had Sampras, Nadal, and then I went back to Venus, and then after that, I think I went to Federer, and then McEnroe and Agassi at the end of all that.
Wow. Okay. See, I had it totally different. I went strictly men. I had Djokovic.
Then well, he said all time. I mean, I think he does. I think he could go 1 or 2 in the men specifically, but he ain't better than Serena.
And that's what. Well, if you,
I guess I don't know. Are we saying tennis, like you said, is it all time, or is
it I went just men. And I did. I'm not gonna lie to you, fellas. I did have Djokovic number 1. I had Djokovic number 1.
Yeah, you have to.
It was close, and I think only because at the end of it, I had Nadal. I had Federer a whisker above Nadal, but I didn't put any women in it. But since Jay went with Serena, now that throws that. Now you got to put Serena in there. You know what I'm saying?
You've had some great. To me, you've had some great women tennis players that really changes the dynamic. I would say Nadal is in the top 5 still.
Yes,
with his accomplishments. But I mean,
look, you got 20 Grand Slams, 14, like you said, French Opens. I mean, you're definitely in there. I mean, I think it was Sampras. I believe he had, what was it? He was 6 in earnings, 64 career titles. You know, I mean, and then look at what he did in Wimbledon. I mean, he had back-to-back consecutive streaks at Wimbledon. He had what, three years? Then he had like a break, and then he had like 4 consecutive after that. I mean, but I definitely would put Nadal at probably the number 2 guy. I can see him at number 2. I think Sampras is still number 1 for me.
Wow. So you got Sampras over Djokovic.
Yeah.
Interesting. How about guys like guys like, but how about like Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe, Jimmy Connor?
Top 10, but not as high as 4 and 5 to me. But I put him in the top 10.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
I said, how about when you factor in guys like John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Bjorn Borg, even Arthur Ashe?
You got them guys in tiers. I think what we're talking about, with the Sampras, and the Serenas and Nadal, that's like that level 1, and then I put them guys in like level 2s, and then after that down to level 3s. I mean, because McEnroe still was not like Sampras. I mean, I think McEnroe had I want to say it was one. He has one Aussie Open, one French Open. He's got 3 Wimbledons, but a lot of the other guys got like streaks of Wimbledon. So that's why I put him in that second tier.
I think McEnroe was more of a personality in the game because he was off
He
the
really
chain.
was. That's why.
To be honest with you.
But he could only be that way because he did win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that puts him up there too. But see, it's also hard for me in a lot of sports like this, where you're going with throwback players, where just physically they weren't big, strong, fast. They didn't take care of the body the way they do now. Where it's harder for me to place those guys in those sort of sports against guys playing football or guys playing basketball, where they got more physical, whatever have you. But
actually, you can. Because they're going against their own people at that percent. You take that basis. How are they in their own specific class, and how did the other guy do in his specific class? You can kind of measure that out, right?
But see, I look at that as the same way. If you're All-American at D1, that's significant talent you're going against. Than if you're going against you're All-American in NAIA. There are a few guys that are NAIA that can last. Like I look at some of these guys that were running bases years ago, like Willie Mays. Willie Mays to me could have played in any era, baseball in
so could Clemente.
In any era. But there are just some guys when I look, it's like, damn, I think, you look at it, golf was one of the ones, like some of the clubs they used back then compared to what they're using nowadays. It's not to me fair. And then you look at some of these guys when they were pitching back then, if they had 80-mile-per-hour fastballs before, that's great. Now guys are throwing 90s to 100s like it ain't nothing. So that's why it's hard, you know what I mean? And it's sort of a disservice because the way they take care of their body now and the treatments they get, where some of these guys riding in stagecoaches playing double headers, and they're still out there tough as nails playing. Where these athletes today, oh no, I can't. My arm hurts. Are you kidding?
What's that,
me?
LeBron?
Man, pretty much.
The only other comment I'll make on that is I'd love to give like the tools that the players have today. Ooh. To the players back in the day. I'd love to see Babe Ruth hit a baseball today.
Oh, man.
He was playing in basically a dead ball era with fucking something they just ripped off a tree. Could you imagine him with the stuff he would have? He'd hit like 110 home runs a year. The man just had an eye for swinging. You could say what you want. You could say, he didn't face the guys from the Negro League. I get that piece of it. It makes sense to me. But even those guys, like, can you imagine some of those guys that were in the Negro League who are now part of the statistics for Major League Baseball, how much greater their stats would have been if they were playing with today's tools? It would have just been incredible. So, hey, let's move on a little bit here. Let's talk a little college football. Bama escapes South Carolina after losing to Vanderbilt. Is DeBoer the guy in Alabama? He is still playing with Saban's players, but is his system working with them? Does he instill the same discipline? Is he as hard on his coaches as Saban might have been to make them instill the discipline? What's missing, fellas? Because I don't see the same type of Alabama team.
I don't think you would, because they're not the same type of coach, probably different philosophies. I still think at the end of the day, though, they're still at number 7, right? They're there regardless. He has them winning. It may not be the prettiest of wins, okay, but he's got them winning. So he's only lost one. So I think when you're taking over for a guy that was king of the living room and you go down a little bit in your draft status because you don't quite have that money like everybody else is doing it, I think he's doing the best with what he got. And he's still got them guys being raw and competitive.
Yeah. I mean, he did work at Washington. It took him time to get his players, his systems. Now, again, your players is kind of hard because of NIL. You're getting new players every year. But here's my thing. Fellas, they got Tennessee this week. We talked about this last week. If they end up with 2 losses, do you think they can even make the play? I still thought they could make the playoffs. Some of you guys told me if they get 2 losses, you don't think they'll even make the playoffs. With 12 teams this year, I think they'll still get in, but
I think they get out just because of the strength of schedule.
But here's my thing.
I was going to pull that one out, right? So
if they end up with 2 losses, yes, Saban had 2 losses a couple times in seasons, but he also won natties. He also won chips. His first season in Bama, if he finishes the season with 2 losses. I'm not going to say they're firing, but how hot is that seat? What is he hearing from the boosters? It can't be pleasant. If
They
end
can't
up
get
with
rid of him
another
after
loss-
1 year, though. They got to
No.
give him a window.
That's
They got to
about
give him a
see.
window
Yeah,
to
I mean,
adjust.
you gotta give him time to get up a recruiting class. He just literally took over from Saban, so there may have been a transitional fluctuation in recruits because they don't know which way it's going. But now as long as he keeps Bama in the 12, whether he wins or not, just keep him in the top 12 or top 6, and they'll get a better recruiting class because then they'll realize, oh yeah, they're stabilizing. Now we know. So I think he's in that fluctuation point, but I think he's pointing north and not south. I think Georgia is the one I think is facing south, and I think Texas is going to show it to him this week.
Hey, listen, I think Lamar's comment, this first comment Lamar made, system is fine, discipline is in there. I don't know what kind of discipline DeBoer runs. I think he needs to learn his coaching staff and how to enforce it via his coaching staff, because it's just not the head coach when you're dealing at that level. You know, we just don't know that. It's just not the head coach. I agree with him there. I agree with him here too. SEC will easily get 4 teams in there because it's the SEC. There's no question about it.
And I don't have an issue with that because they are now. Again, if you're starting to give me a lot of SEC teams, and they may have, because Georgia, if they can beat Texas on the road, Kirby Smart. Woo! I tip my hat to Kirby Smart if they can beat Texas in Texas. So I'm looking for Georgia to have 2 losses. Fellas, I'm not so sold. Bama's getting out of Tennessee, out of Rocky Top with a win.
I think they'll lose that game. I do think they'll lose that game.
Yeah. If a team like Vanderbilt could bite them in the ass, but at the same time, does that Vanderbilt loss sting so bad at Bama that now they want to come back and reclaim the ship? Don't rule out Bama quite so fast, because sometimes when you get punched in the mouth, you take a step back, but you come back harder.
I thought that too. And I thought South Carolina was going to be a victim of that. I thought they were going to run buckshot through South Carolina. And when they didn't, wow, that's what had me like, there might be some real issues here in Bama, only because I expected them to come out, run buckshot through South Carolina, put a hurting on those cats, and then move on to Tennessee. That's not what happened. So you're right. So maybe they regroup, come out pissed, and do something this week, but man, it's going to be a tough one in Rocky Top.
We'll find out. I do agree with you. I think this is going to be another great college football weekend, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be another. I went to see Ole Miss in South Carolina. That's why I missed shows and stuff like that. South Carolina quarterback's just not very good. He's just not very good. In fact, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here. My kid that plays down there, he and I were candid, and I said, brother, you're losing games because you don't have a quarterback. He would not throw him under the bus either. That's his teammate.
Yeah.
But he just kind of looked at me, and I could read his mind, man. They had him by the balls when they recovered that onside kick on the other side of the 50. That's one completed pass. You kick the field goal, and it's over.
Yeah,
it's over. This freaking guy can't even do that job. You know, like, he might be a great kid, might be a great runner with the football, but if you can't throw the football, whether it's in college, pro, high school, peewee, you got to be able to throw it a little bit. If you can't throw the football, then you can't be a quarterback. Bottom line. Lamar thinks that the board's okay. He says he's fine. He's new, and the board will give him, give him a little break. And he says Bama has Shula. Your boy G. Richardson here made a comment. One thing I learned, whether it's sports or other things, you never follow the man. You never follow the man. So interesting there. Hey, let's move into the.
You see Army? Can we put some damn respect on Army, for crying out loud?
Oh, please. Army and Navy. Navy's undefeated too. And my Pitt Panthers. My Pitt Panthers are 6-0.
They're trying to put some respect.
Those teams are all ranked under 18, right? Our Army's what?
Yeah. I didn't see they were ranked. My boy did. I just got it via text, and all it said was Army's ranked. And he puts a whole bunch of
23. Army's 23. Navy's 25.
And Pitt's 20.
The Army's 23.
So those are all undefeated teams that are 20 and
crazy
lower.
Or what? I think Army's like 12-0 now. Since last year in addition, I think they're like on a 12-win streak right now. 12-game win streak. That's nuts.
There's just no love out there for some of these teams. You know, we keep hearing the same old shit. Penn State moved up to 3. Why? Because they got They got another break
that was
from an
horseshit.
official.
I didn't like Penn State up there. I
You
thought
know, that's
if
just
anybody's going to be up
ridiculous.
there, maybe Ohio.
Yes, Glenn. Yes, Indiana University undefeated. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, fellas, the new college football rankings are out. You agree with the top 10?
No. I think Texas is good. I think Oregon is good. I think maybe Ohio should have been at 3. Penn State should have been at 4. But after that, I was okay with it. I think Tennessee, I think their one loss came to unranked Arkansas. I didn't really like that a whole lot, and I felt like maybe they could have been at 12. Maybe Notre Dame, because they had the win over Texas, could have been at 11. But other than that, I mean, the rankings are they're okay.
All right, I'm looking at ESPN's rankings. Texas 1, Oregon 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, Georgia 5, Miami 6. And Miami should have 2 losses, fellas. I'm sorry, they should have 2 losses, but again, they got a little loving. Alabama 5-1, number 7. LSU 5-1, number 8. Iowa State 6-0 at 9, and Clemson 5-1 at 10. And then you go to Tennessee, Notre Dame, BYU, Texas A&M, Boise, Indiana. Indiana 6-0 is the whole way down at 16.
I did not look at the schedule, but had they played any ranked teams, or has it all just been small town schools?
It has been basically.
I don't really count that
for Indiana. They haven't played anybody just yet. No, they haven't.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they are where they are.
They beat UCLA and they beat Northwestern. Those are the biggest names. Now they got Nebraska next week, and they still don't even play.
Really Nebraska.
They don't know. They don't even play a ranked team until they play Michigan at 24, and that is, second week in November.
I don't even consider beating Maryland laying the ass to anybody, because Maryland. I don't know if Maryland will win again this year, to be honest with you, and I'm right there with them.
But I don't understand how Oregon had 6 number 1 votes, because OSU loses that game, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that was just a mental breakdown. The quarterback Howard didn't realize where he was on the field, and Texas, honestly, fellas, who has looked better than them? Regardless of so I give Texas. I got to give them that credit. Texas is the number 1 squad in the land. And to be honest with you, I told you before, I hate these rankings until about the 5th or 6th game of the season is when I'd like for them to start, ranking. Because again, Penn State, they haven't played a whole lot. It's a Pennsylvania team, so I'll give them love. But right now, honestly, if Penn State plays Ohio State, I'm going with Ohio State. If Penn State plays Georgia on a neutral field, I'm going with Georgia. You know what I mean? So regardless of what your rankings are, but it is what it is. But again, once these playoffs start, fellas, they're going to help, because teams, I got a high ranking. So you may get an easy team the first week, first round, but I can't wait for these playoffs. I'm excited.
I'll tell you what I do like is the fact that, man, this year for Texas was huge, right? Archie Manning, first SEC game, Mississippi State is looking good. He's playing good. He's looking nice. That's a future killer. Not only are we going to get it this year, but we're going to get it next year. You just got a glimpse of next year.
Yeah,
baby.
Quinn Ewers is gone. He's
Yeah.
gone. They're saying he's a top 5 quarterback. I think he's in the top 2 currently.
Yeah,
Ewers. I do. I really do. He's got size and he's got smarts, and he's been in
the New York.
I could see that easily. Or the Raiders. The Raiders.
Yeah,
hey,
depending on who. Yeah, I guess who falls first.
I guess going back to Penn State, they go to Wisconsin this week. No, they go to Wisconsin on the 26th. Then they got Ohio State at home, Washington at home. Then they go to Purdue. Then they've got they go to Minnesota, and then they finish up with Maryland. So what? They could lose to Ohio State. Technically, looking at this, they could lose to Ohio State, maybe Wisconsin in Wisconsin, maybe Minnesota in Minnesota, but they really don't have a tough road ahead. They're probably going to lose one of those, but they don't have a tough road ahead of them. They know Michigan on that schedule.
They hold their own fate in their hand. You can't ask for anything more. You can't.
Here's who they played. Before they beat USC, their opponent's record was 10-4 10-14. Their opponents' win-loss record was 10-14. They beat West Virginia. They beat Bowling Green. They beat Kent State. They beat Illinois. They beat UCLA, and then they beat USC. But UCLA and USC, neither of them were ranked. Penn State struggled with USC. Struggled. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see the way that plays out. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about baseball, because we got baseball. It's kind of in the home stretch here. ALCS, you got the Yankees and the Indians. The Yankees bats were cold for a long time, except Stanton. He finally woke up after a couple of years of taking a nice long nap. Man, he's been pounding the shit out of the ball. But that Indians pitching runs deep. The Indians pitching runs deep. Thoughts on that, fellas? What sticks out to you?
I think is it Garrett Cole versus Beebe, I believe, tonight, correct?
Yes.
And you know, Beebe's got a 2.08 ERA to Cole's, I think, 3. And if I'm not mistaken, Stanton, I don't know where the hell this man came from. It sure was another regular season, but man, if that guy showed up in the postseason.
Yeah. The only problem is, well, in the playoffs have been interesting, and they've been fun to watch, exciting to watch. It just bothers me. Was that Cole that went 6-7 innings the other night? Was that Garrett Cole? I think where you're not seeing that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And all these guys are what did they win? The Guardians. Didn't they win one game with 6 pitchers or something like that? Yeah. I mean, that's not how I don't like that sort of baseball. So I'm behind the times on that. I understand things are changing. I love seeing the starter go give me a good 6-7 innings. Get your middle reliever. If he can go 3, great. But if he can give you 2 and then bring your remember your Pedro, remember Ramirez, they come in and shut. That's what I would tell you
this, man. Hey, Aaron Judge, he better come with a little bit more than that 133 batting average.
Yeah,
that's what he put up in game 1. I mean,
that's Bonds-esque.
Yeah, you got to have more than just that. So I mean, Soto's pulling this weight, Stanton's pulling this weight, and then Monday night, typical Judge disappears.
On Monday night, I do 108 Stitches baseball podcast with the guys from South Florida Tribune, Scott Morganroth and George Eichhorn, Trent Clark are the regulars on there. And we were talking last night with Eric Katz, another guy who was on it last night. We were talking about how they were using openers, like the Pirates had used openers. You're bringing in a bullpen guy for a couple innings, and you bring in another bullpen guy for a couple innings, and another guy for a couple innings. It's almost like Cleveland could do that and win because their bullpen is deep.
It is. The bats got to get live, though. The bats have to get live because you realize with that roster, I understand Judge has been cold as leftover pizza, but if he gets hot, you never know what he's capable of. That's the kill. So those Guardians bats have to come alive. The pitching will be there. The pitching's been deep throughout the playoffs in the season. That's helped them. And the crazy part is, let me ask you this, fellas. Are you going with the Yankees to win this series, or you still think it could be close? You got the Yankees winning it.
I got the Yankees and Dodgers in the finals.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody's serious. I don't think it's 100% for me completely sold on that. I mean, it just depends on how the bullpen for me and that Weaver, man. If you're gonna do anything, you better get it done in those middle innings or try to get it best done in the early innings because Weaver and what's the other guy's name? Help me out.
Oh,
the other reliever.
Yeah.
The one that got demoted. See, I can't remember his damn name.
But see, to me, and I know because they've got that bullpen, they've got relievers, and they have pitching, but I would go 75-25. It's the Yankees going to win this, if not 80-20. 80% of me says Yankees. But in the regular season, they only won 2 more games than the Guardians. So it should be a closer. I'll tell you something
else. Hey, Cleveland and New York both were at 6 hits each. The only difference is New York was able to drive them home. My biggest thing for Cleveland is when you get those guys on base,
gotta get them home.
Yes,
manufacture your runs. I'll say this about it: those 2 teams played steady baseball all year. In the National League with the Mets and the Dodgers, a little bit of a different story. Okay, the Dodgers played pretty much steady baseball all year, but the Mets got red hot.
Yeah, they were like a heartbeat. They were
late June, early July, whatever it was.
They were like
and they are riding a red hot team. Okay, I know they lost the first one, but they bounced right back. They split
Yeah.
they split in LA. That
Yeah.
says something about
Yeah.
them. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, really. Now
And
let's
actually,
think about
I
this.
like the Severino matchup for the Mets over at Bueller, because I think Bueller's got like a 10.80 ERA right now, 0 for 1. And Severino's done pretty good. He's got 4.5, 4.5. But the whip is really good. He's got 1.33 to Bueller's 1.60. So I feel like the pitching is in favor of the Mets. You know, they just got to make sure that they can match it with the bats and not let those pitchers go to waste.
I'll tell you what, I watched the first game. I didn't get to see the second one because I was teaching. The Dodgers, once they start hitting, they don't stop. Like once one guy starts hitting, it's all downhill. Like every guy coming up.
They're so between Kike, between Hernandez, between Metz, between Freeman, between
Ohtani.
Yes, where's the
look at
that lineup?
Ohtani's got what, a 2.22 ERA, or batting average, and Betts is at 192. I mean, it's not like the Dodgers are playing lights out baseball on the bats either. All you got to is put up a few runs. I would say at least 3, and then really ride that pitching and ride that defensiveness.
My last comment on this, and then you guys can make another comment if you'd like, but 3 of the 4 teams have the highest payrolls in baseball.
Yes.
And this is why I have a problem with Major League Baseball. Yeah. Yes, I'm a lowly Pirates fan. When I talk about them, I should have a freaking bag over my head. Okay. Chop, same thing. He's a lowly Pirates fan. Yeah. But, you know, baseball lets this happen. They let this happen. No offense to the Astros or anybody like that, but they let this happen and they don't care. You know, I have a problem with that because growing up back in the day, because Chops and I are old bucks, back in the day, it was an even playing field. Guys weren't moving all over the place for $500 million. It's hard for me to watch the scrap that they bring into Pittsburgh and then watch teams sign guys that they could have signed for a fraction of what the guy might have been worth. You know, that's just that's me going off on a tangent. But like I said, 3 of the 4 teams are the highest paid salaries in baseball. Before we move on to the NFL a little bit here, fellas, Jay, go ahead and tell them a little bit about you, where they can find you, about your show. Give them the lowdown, buddy.
Yeah, so you can catch me usually Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Coast to Coast over at Northeast Streaming Sports. And then you can also find me on Unscripted. Me and Logan usually go out Thursdays live. You can find us on the ESPN Facebook page. Also, TikTok, everywhere else. I mean, we're all over the place. So, yeah, I'm out there. Just go to ESPN, and pull it in. You'll pull it up.
Chops, you want to give them the lowdown on it? Thanks, Jay. You want to give them the lowdown on your new show?
Haymakers and submissions. I love.
You're gonna say strippers, haymakers and strippers.
Oh, wouldn't be a bad thing. Wouldn't be a bad thing.
I'll tell you what, you get some people.
But I love it, man. Our haymakers and submissions. It's a combat sports podcast, so anything boxing, MMA. We love it, man. Wrestling, not WWE wrestling, the Greco-Roman freestyle wrestling,
mud wrestling.
You know, yeah. What? If they start banging at it hard, we'll get it. Man, if this old lady fight with bingo, I'll put it on.
Plenty of lube.
Check out our guy Jay, or check out Glenn. Hey, making them dollar bills, making it rain for the strippers. Oh man. Okay. Hey, let's move along, fellas. I want to talk about an injury before we go any further, and I want to pick your brains a little bit. Hey, Aiden Hutchinson. Fellas, his injury was brutal. If you haven't seen it, it reminds me of when Tim Crumry broke his leg. It reminds me of when Theismann broke his leg. Those were career-ending injuries. I hope this young buck doesn't have a career-ending injury, but he's got a long road to hoe. Now, my question to you is, first of all, if you're out there and you haven't seen it, Google it. Aiden Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions broke his leg, making a play on a quarterback.
But make sure you're different. There's a difference breaking it and fracturing. He didn't break it; he fractured it.
Yeah,
and he broke it like Theismann did. He broke it, like those guys, or Alex Smith did. Yeah, it probably would be a career ender, but he only fractured it. It's not as bad as you think, man. Look, Campbell is already fully expected. He has not ruled out that he won't be back for the playoffs.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's already come out and said he said.
Well, he is only 24. He's like
Yeah,
24 years
he
old.
was in surgery that night. That
Yeah.
night in
Yeah,
the Detroit, excuse me, in the Dallas.
I had him. I had him pegged to be NFL defense, or I had him defensive player of the year. That was my sleeper pick,
for sure.
and he was playing like it. But why so many injuries in football anymore? I mean, think about some of the guys that are out. We all play fantasy football. Think about some of the guys we don't have playing between CMC, Puka Nacua, Aiden Hutchinson.
Well,
the list goes
a
on.
lot of those teams weren't playing their starters at all, hardly. There was a lot of teams out there that didn't even play their starters in preseason.
Yeah.
And then you want to come out cold and come up against these guys at full contact. Well, yeah, I'm sure you probably will. Probably the other one is they might have games now that they're stretching the season out by. And then of course, then it goes also just down to lack of conditioning and some of these athletes not taking care of their body.
And that was crazy on Hutchinson's, because that to me was that play when he swung his leg and that shin on shin. We call that shin on shin in Muay Thai when you're throwing a kick. I would expect him to scream. I would expect him to yell. But the way that broke, it was almost like that's just a freak accident. He's rolling, whatever. And because it'd be different if he'd have swung and he'd have hit somebody's helmet, the crown of somebody's helmet, whatever. But he hit another man's shin, and it was a freak accident. That was rough, man. That was rough.
Yeah, that's the thing though, right? You got the hip drop, tackles is hurting guys. You got guys, like you said, offensive linemen that are rolling on top of these receivers. And 300 pounds, like Nick Chubb, we got 300 pounds, and they're taking left and right all at the same time. That's just a lot of it's freak. But, let's be honest, though. I really think, though, they needed more conditioning before they just got put out there, which is what they're doing now.
They really don't hit in camp either. I go every year to Steeler camp, and they don't bang there. I say that's part of it. I agree with you, but they got to figure that piece out, because we shouldn't be watching the NFL and all the many of the top stars are out for the better part of the season. Big shout out to Linda McGrath out there. Yes, I am Mark, not Mike, and I guess I'm kind of honored that you said I look like your cousin Mike Gellion. He's probably a hell of a good-looking guy with ladies all over the place. But thanks for watching us. She's on our Roku channel. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's keep going on the NFL, fellas. Vikings go to Detroit. Chiefs go to San Francisco. Who's going to be undefeated?
I'm going to go Vikings.
Yeah.
I
think it's in Minnesota, and let's be honest. Now that what's his name over there, Aiden Hutchinson he's on the IR. That's a big part of that defense, and that secondary is suspect. And I swear, Darnold is having the time of his life in this offense. Brian Flores is coaching that defense, and them boys is executing.
Are you not rooting for Darnold? Because you know what, he was put out to pasture. He was headed to the glue factory. He gets to Minnesota and his career is resurrected. We've had several guys this year who've had their careers resurrected. Baker Mayfield. It's so justifying to see that happen to these guys, because teams sold them out so easily. Cleveland would probably give their left nut to have Baker Mayfield back over this clown that they gave all that money to. I'm happy for those guys to go on and to be playing so well. That's just gratifying to me. Chops, I'm kind of going to go with not only the Vikings, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs too. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I don't know if San Francisco's playing as good of ball as you think they are. Ayuk is not producing since he got his contract. They still don't have CMC. Okay. Their defense has not looked as lights out as it had been. Now, maybe they pull it back together going into this week, because this is a big game. But I don't know. I really like what Mahomes does, and he has not had a game to be reckoned with yet this year. Last week.
Man, I don't get that. How do you like 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions? Does that sound like Mahomes to you?
No,
I know. That's why. That's only why, because they be getting lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but
I'm going to say the boy's 6 and 6. Damn it. Something's going on over there.
Yeah. They
Well,
should have lost week
I
one.
know this, but Mahomes, if you hear me, you got a guy over there called Xavier Worthy. You probably heard of him. You drafted him from Texas. Throw the damn ball.
Yeah, and think about this, Jay. He's got Xavier Worthy and a rookie and Juju Smith-Schuster. That's his top two receivers right now.
Yeah.
That's his guys. How can that be possible? Juju had 130 yards last week.
Yeah.
He sat out there for 2 weeks as a free agent. He got cut.
Yeah.
Sat there. Then Mahomes once again resurrects that guy's career. Pittsburgh's been looking for a receiver since the beginning of time after they traded Deontay Johnson.
Not getting Kelsey the ball as much as he did last season. I mean, he's really almost getting away from Kelsey a lot, which is really crazy. I mean, that's vintage. I've never seen before. They always throw the ball.
Yeah.
But Kelsey's kind of taking a back seat a little bit over there.
Well, who had a big game last week was Kittle. Kittle had a big game. He had been nicked up for a few weeks, even though he played through it 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. But he had a hell of a game last week. Unless Kansas City takes him off the field, he might be the go-to. He might be the go-to guy for Purdy.
San Francisco, Mason's over there. He's kind of banged up and questionable. I think Tyler Hunt is getting reborn a little bit. I mean, he's putting up some pretty good yardage. I'm looking for Hunt to have a pretty good day out there, feasting on San Francisco's defense, honestly.
It'll be interesting to see what happens out there. Hey, let's move into a little Steeler talk. Obviously, Chops and I are big Steeler fans. Was this a rebound game for them, going to Vegas and just smacking them around? The defense was lights out. Okay. Yeah. They put 32 points on the board. The Steelers haven't put 32 points on the board since I think Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback, to be honest with you.
Here's the thing. They didn't give up the points, the defense, but they got turnovers this week like they did last week. They do, the offense capitalized this week, which they didn't do last week. You know what I'm saying? They capitalized against the Raiders, which they didn't do against Dallas. But I'm glad because they needed it. They, as in the offense, needed it because they needed to show they could put some points up. Now, I understand NFL is a week-to-week, what have you done for me lately league. I get that. And whatever you did last week doesn't carry over to this week. I get that. But I'm hoping they can build on the momentum with the confidence because the Jets are coming in and the Jets defense hasn't played up to the hype they were given preseason, but they have the talent on that defensive side of the ball. So I'm hoping they open it up a little bit, and I'm hoping that gives them the confidence to get the ball rolling and get that off.
Whispers in Pittsburgh.
And all of this. So the Steelers have played one team that's above 500 with Atlanta, and that's 4-2. But Denver, Chargers, Colts, Dallas, all of them are just barely 500 teams. And then you get Vegas 1-4, and you get all excited because you beat a 1-4 team. Ooh, so happy.
Well, you're right. You're right.
Hold on a minute now. Look, they have not really been challenged to say that. Let's just be real.
We have to get the wins now because they're
there you go. That's just how you know your team sucks. We got to get the wins now.
Well, hold on. Nobody.
Even the fan is horrible. Jesus.
Nobody sees second half of the season as hard as the Steelers. You got to get those wins now.
Chops, I know you think about me, don't you? I know I'm in your nightmare some kind of way as a Steelers fan.
They got to get them, man. That second half of the season is a gauntlet.
Who's that creeping in my window?
Hey, they got in 10 days. They've got the Ravens, the Eagles, and Kansas City in 10 days.
I know.
Wow. That's insane, and that's at the very end of the season. So if they don't get, going to 5 wins this week is going to be crucial for them. Going to 6 wins against the Giants going to be crucial for them. They got to go into their bye week at 6-2, in my opinion, because coming out of that bye week, they got to play 500 ball at least. They got to.
I'll tell you right now. Hey, you're 25th in touchdowns, and he has a QBR. I'm talking about Fields. Fields has a QBR of 54.0. against mediocre, barely 500 teams. I don't think that's a rebound. I don't think it's in any game. You haven't been truly tested yet. I think you're beating up on some little nerdy kids that probably hide and quiver in the corner, and now you think you're something. That's what I think you are.
But see, that's what I said. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, there can be an upset. It ain't college where you got to win and win in fabulous fashion.
Come on, right now
you
you're pretenders until you beat somebody. You will beat Minnesota, and I'll give you mad respect.
I think they would beat Minnesota. That defense is vicious. That defense is finding its stride. It's the offense that holds them back. Their offensive line is missing their number one draft pick, who was started at right tackle, Fatanu. They're missing James Daniels, their starting right guard. And
Warren hasn't been healthy.
No, in this week they're going to be missing Frazier, possibly this weekend next. You know, I mean that hurts. Now the whispers. I don't know if they're whispers anymore. What's coming out of Steeler camp is that Russ Wilson is going to have the reins this week.
I don't get it. I don't get that.
By the way, hey, the one thing I didn't mention when I said Field, which is actually a really good positive for him, is he only has one interception. So that's not bad. He's not turning the ball over. If they could just figure out how to run that jump, that hard ball, or that Belichick dink and dunk offense, nothing crazy, they're going to be fine. I mean, they can go a long way.
I don't get why Tomlin's doing that. If that is true, and Fields is sitting the bench and Russ is starting, I don't get that. And here's why. And just hear me out. Well, okay, first off, why now? Why not do it in the bye week? The Jets are going to be hyped because they got Devontae Adams. So they're going to believe, even if he doesn't play, I believe the Jets are going to want to rebound from this game against the Bills. The defense has been talked about bad lately for the Jets, so they probably want to come out and show what they're going to do. Our offensive line has been damn near Swiss cheese. And if Russ is back there, they are coming after his old ass. They know where he's going to be.
Of course.
And then this week, you need Fields' legs to roll out.
Hey, Chops, what is Pittsburgh? What is Pittsburgh on the hook on Russell Wilson's contract? Is it still
it's $1 million. $1 million.
So they got it from Denver. Okay.
Yeah, he's $1 million.
At first I was gonna say, well, if he was the highest paid guy, I bet management is probably telling him to play him.
Yeah, but that ain't it, man.
For $1 million. Why would you not go with your hot hand?
I just don't see the benefit of starting Russ now, because that defense is coming after him. And regardless of how bad his numbers have been, or should I say they haven't been great. As you just point out, Fields' numbers haven't been great. I get that. However, he hasn't hurt us. Like you said, only one INT, but his legs have helped a lot rolling out, being able to buy time, scrambling, being able to buy time to see the field. Russ is not going to be able to do that. And I'm a Russ guy. I wanted Russ starting from the jump, but I don't get this. I just don't get this.
You could have played Russ if you have Fatanu, James Daniels, Zach Frazier. If you'd have had your normal starting line going right there.
Yeah, but if this were pissed, we'd all be drunk. We can't do that. You know what I mean? we can't. That's what's worrying me. Why are you're setting Russ up for failure in my eyes with it? I just don't get it.
Well,
he's coming off the calf injury.
Kind of set his own self up for failure when he left Seattle and had I'm gonna have my own office away from the clubhouse. Now, Russell Williams failed himself. Okay, he lost the hunger. He's not hungry anymore. He's just playing passive at this point. Just like Aaron Rodgers, they're all just passive. I mean, come on, you got one Super Bowl. Great. I'm sure your whole team has kind of carried you too, but you haven't done shit since. Neither one of them have done shit.
Well, he had 26 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions last year in Denver. That's what he had. Okay, and that was behind a porous line. I don't know. I just don't agree with Tomlin. I'm with you. Hey,
I think it's time to move on from Russell Williams and call Russell Williams who Russell Williams is.
A backup. Jay, I think this message is for you. Somebody needs you to hit them back on Grindr.
Oh no, that was Sejon dyslexic. I don't know what that's talking about.
Yeah. Hey fellas, let me take us into the last topic. This is an interesting one too. Louisiana high school quarterback from Evangel Christian Academy, Peyton Houston's the boy's name, threw for 815 yards in a game, and they lost 77-76 in overtime. The high school record, though, for passing is held by former West Virginia quarterback Will Greer at 837 yards. Fellas, thoughts on a kid throwing for 815 yards.
Yeah, he's on a good he's on a good offensive team with a really shitty defense.
Yeah, that's it, man. When
Let's be honest. If it's 77-76, obviously neither one of those damn defenses was doing shit.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. You lost.
If you look at it right now, if you look at it in the standings right now, I think they're like 1-7 and then like 1-8 in district. This is a bottom rung team. So I guess it's a good player on a really shitty team. Welcome to the world of sports.
Yeah, that to me, first off, when you throw that many yards in a game, you played the entire game because your defense kept giving up points. Because you know what I'm saying. So
there's literally no run game.
None.
Their run game were screens. Yak. Quick slot throws.
Jeez.
So that's to be even like Will Greer. When you see a lot of these guys with crazy high school numbers, then when they get to college, you don't do as well. Or guys that have like a lot of the Texas Tech quarterbacks before your boy Mahomes came in, because Texas Tech was always putting some nice quarterbacks with great numbers into the league. Then they fizzled out. They didn't do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I see it, like I said, Will Greer throws for 800 and some in high school. You get to college, you're okay. But now, what has he been on a different team for the last 5 years? He's in the league, Will Greer. It's just can't get it. But I don't. Yeah, great. But let him have a parade for you at the high school and.
It really doesn't really matter a whole lot when if your teams really aren't that good. You're not even ranked in the top 25. Come to Texas. North Shore High School, number 8 in the nation. Let's go.
Hey, great show, fellas. Love the input. Love the energy. Thanks so much to Jay for joining us. Jay, go ahead and give them all your stuff again before we leave the show.
Hey, I'm Jay McLovin. You can find me on everything that's ESEN related. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. That's where I'm at. Always putting content. I also coast to coast on Northeast Streaming Sports and 100 Yards of Football.
Don't forget to check out the link tree for ESEN, which is in the chat. Chops, break it down for us.
Your boy on the Twitter is the real Big Chops. On the gram, it's Big Chops 824. And of course, on Facebook, my government, Michael Gregory Mills, and on TikTok, it's Big Chops 79. But you can find me anywhere in the ESPN. I'm on there. I love being on the network. Just keep showing us love, support. We appreciate it.
Hey, big shout out to everybody from the Original Sports Podcast. You can check out our pod page, which is our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. Like our Facebook page. Join our conversation on Twitter. Follow our Instagram. All those are, watch our TikToks. All those are OSP with M&M. You can also check out our Instagram. Check out our YouTube for all our past shows. And if you can't make it to watch us on your computer, you can watch us on Roku. We'd love to have you join us on there. A big shout out to all our networks: Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, Manning Media, Peak One Sports, and of course, ESEN, Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Again, thanks to Jay for joining us tonight. And that Roku show is Tuesday nights from 7 to 8, same time as our live show on here. Hey, feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions, suggestions for future guests. Just throw it out there at us. We'll take it by emailing us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to Steve Medley for doing the voice intro, Charlie Hodgson for the music. Catch us next week to experience the O on the Original Sports Podcast.